late start of events. It's my pleasure to be here in Portharcourt. It's no longer, please don't call it the oil capital anymore. In case you wonder abroad, they say, why are you talking about oil? Call it the energy capital of Nigeria. So oil is no longer fashionable. So it's my pleasure to be here. I was last here in 2021. I did a bit of work for 2 years with hybrid. I'll show you all of that hybrid what goes on there. Very interesting place. The air is much cleaner now. When I came then, after I could only stay for 2 days because I have allergies. So by day 2, headaches, blocked nose, sore throat. So I ran back to Abuja. So that's how I was operating for 2 years. So thank you anyway for cleaning up the air and making it possible for me to stay longer here. So I'll just give a brief welcome and context setting, and then we'll move on from there. Hopefully we'll release you all by 2 p.m. Okay, so madam, don't worry. So good morning everyone, and it's really my pleasure to welcome you to this important gathering, South and Southeast Regional Workshop of the NDC Scorecard for Sustainable Buildings Project. So I need to start first of all by thanking the River State government, and especially the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development, and all the other River State government agencies here represented, and to especially acknowledge the Greater Portharcourt City Development Authority for your leadership and your commitment to advancing sustainable urban development in this part of the country and in this city. Your efforts are truly acknowledged and appreciated. I also want to especially acknowledge and recognize the GPHCDA for collaborating with us in hosting this workshop. It's a signal of your commitment to greater urban sustainability and resilience in this great city, so thank you. Also, thank you to our friends and reps from around this region, from Abia State, Delta State, I think Bayelsa State are here represented. Thank you for making the journey, and we ask you when you get back to please extend our appreciation to your respective leadership teams. And of course to everyone else here, thank you. We know you're all busy, taking the time out of your schedules to be part of this conversation. So for those of us joining us for the first time, what exactly is this all about? And what are we doing here today? So, and it has expanded to other 10 or so countries. The goal is simple, is to help countries bridge the gap between climate ambition and real-world implementation in the buildings and construction sector, using the NDCs or the National Climate Policy Landscape as the starting point. In Nigeria, we've been driving the work as GBCN, supported by over the last, it's been going on since August last year, over the last year plus, we've engaged with over 250 stakeholders across government, industry, academia, across 4 national level workshops. And then we started our sub-national action, starting in Lagos, moving to Abuja, and final stop, which was a signal of your importance and relevance, is Portharcourt, the Southeast. So between that October and May, we had Sagina, my colleague, will tell you more about this later, 4 national level workshops and a series of technical consultations. We created what we call a National Action Plan, and that speaks directly to Nigeria's context and reflects our shared priorities around resilience, low carbon development, and inclusive urban growth. It's co-created, it's important that we understand that we try to create a document that was not something that a group of experts in a back room somewhere sat down, hooked up, and brought and said, here, this is what is best for you. No, we brought a broad variety of policy makers, and like I say, policy takers, those who are affected by the policies and are sometimes forgotten when these policies are being crafted, brought them together, and over an extensive and deliberate consultation period, we came up with this plan. We did workshops. Beyond the workshops, we did surveys. Beyond the surveys, we also set our local research assistants to about 17 subnational units and the FCT to consult to do some local policy mapping, to get an idea of their policy context and to engage with them and get feedback. So the action plan is complete, and we're now in our subnational phase where we are trying to situate the action plan in the diverse realities of our regions. So, but one of the states regions, because under our constitution, as we know, we have responsibility for land use planning, building regulation, urban development, and environmental enforcement. All these four things are critical to the built environment. They sit at the state level. It's good to legislate and set policy at the national level, but if that policy is not cascaded and domesticated to the subnational realities, it's not going to work. And so, having that high-level framework, fantastic. But if you want real impact, it has to come down to where the decisions on how cities are developed and how buildings are built, it has to come down to this level. So that's why we're here today. So this workshop follows on powerful convenes we had in Lagos a few weeks ago, and then in Abuja, and now we're here in Portharcourt, Nigeria's energy capital. The economic hub, well, some say Lagos is the economic hub, but I don't know, I'm not too sure. Yeah, we contribute a lot to our GDP, but to take a university to your honor, I wonder. So, let me acknowledge that by seeing the economic heart of Nigeria's oil-rich region, and then our country's fastest urban centers. This region is growing fast. You can feel it. You know, everywhere I visited really, a couple of weeks ago, I was sharing Abuja, and sometimes it seems like you go to sleep, you wake up, and then listen to plan, and it's not equal. Those are two key things. We have pressure on land, we have informal settlements springing up, we have real gaps in things like drainage, waste management, basic services, especially around the urban peripheries. So you don't need to go too far to see neighborhoods sitting in flood-prone or other hazard-prone areas, or buildings popping up, you know, buildings springs up. This thing is not really working for me. My wife is too hot, or every season I experience flooding, you know, without too much thought. And so the region is growing, but it's also under strain, and that's why this conversation is so important. How do we grow our cities differently? How do we build resilience of mind? Not just because of the climate, because sometimes when we start these conversations, it seems as if it's all about climate change, and we say that in for us to apologies. It's a problem for us too, because the challenge is already here. Whether we want to help them fight it or not, we're facing the impacts. So we need to to act to address the impacts on our people. So this conversation is not just about climate change mitigation, it's also about climate change adaptation.
So we're not here just to present the action plan, we are here to test it, to ask you, we ask to challenge it, to refine it, and most importantly, to see how best to localize it. Because what works in Lagos will not work for Abba or Rwanda. It's not about what is looking good on paper, and that's when we often sometimes get it wrong. Fantastic, beautiful plan, master plan, looks excellent, but when you go and put it, it's like a beautiful car. You buy it, you take it out for a test drive, and you say, hey, this car doesn't work. We don't know the problems we have in Nigeria, and should have brought a different model. So this is what we're trying to do, to organize it through your reality.
Okay, so we want to hear from the voices across the full spectrum of stakeholders, like I said, from policymakers and the policy takers. Guy living in some urban periphery who will be affected when the person from the Development Control Office devises the building regulations. How does that impact him? And the answers real? Are they relevant? Will they complicate and make his life more difficult, so that it's he or she more difficult? We want to ask you, what do you think about the plan? How can it be better situated in your local context? And what practical steps can we take to move this from paper to action? So let me wrap up by saying that we are deeply encouraged by the caliber of people already in the room today, from design, from planning, from industry, from academia, from civil society, and of course, our enthusiastic youth here. This is important because it's not just a workshop where we talk to you, it's one where we plan to talk with you. So please assist us by engaging fully, by sharing openly, and challenge, feel free to challenge what we have put down. One thing I tell my son, I keep talking about my son all the time, that there's nothing wrong with asking questions. It's not North Korea where you ask questions and they take you out and they shoot you. In Nigeria, you can ask questions. So feel free to challenge us. Feel free to tell us, here you got it wrong. We think this is better. So let's work together to ensure that Nigerian buildings and cities are not just growing, but growing sustainably. So thank you once again for being here, and let's make today count. So I will invite the representative of Greater Portharcourt City Development Authority to come forward and share their thoughts with us on building momentum for a green Portharcourt, emerging actions, opportunities, and challenges. Please welcome him as he comes forward.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The people that want to preserve the earth, and that is why I'm adopting green outfit, because without the green initiative, we'll end up damaging this precious inheritance we have. Thank you for coming. I can identify my colleagues, my lecturers, my friends that are in the discourse. My name is Town Planner Faithful. I'm the Director of Development Control. I've been mandated by the Acting Administrator of Greater Portharcourt to represent the authority. Yes, the topic is so attractive if I'm not making overstatement. What the topic is what resulted to the establishment or creation of Greater Portharcourt City. in 2009 by the government of Honorable Rotary Chibike Amici. From his own view, he discovered that the Portharcourt city is very too chaotic, very disorganized. So he decided to create a new city that covers about 1,900 square kilometers, crossing across 8 local governments. The planning balance what will come further disaggregate to partial and whole the local governments and Portharcourt local government, the whole city. We have Yodiapo, we have Eleme, we have Oyibo, we have Eche, we have Ogogoro. For those that know Portharcourt very well, a greater Portharcourt boundary via Abaro terminates at the Igbo River. Further down, if we follow the Owo road, there is a river, a stream. After that stream, there is a road going to the former governor village, Ubima. That river is another landmark, separating Greater Portharcourt from the old city, from the east-west axis. I think Rumosi is the most visible one, and down to Ladybot. Then by the old axis, if you are from that area, there is a community they call Midline. Our boundary started from the power line. That means power line crossing. Anything back to the Igbo and the Greater Portharcourt, further down to the local government headquarters of urban development. At least this is what I can say about the city boundary. Greater Portharcourt conceptually is a smart and compact city. The reason for that is that River State is smart boundary state. We are not less like the northern state that you can drive series of kilometers. You see valley land. Here land is precious. The growth in River State concerning Portharcourt is this way. Not that it will not be possible to go backwards because of the geographical impediment, which is also a resource. So if you look at the city is going northward, we all know we are supposed to be able to go back to because we have a lot of potential. So that is why we decided to make it compact by introducing technology, encouraging misuse development, creating of boulevards in major arterials. These are the level the major use concepts we have used to make sure that we create green environment in Greater Portharcourt. Implementing that from the building approval level, we are making sure, or we are making sure that in any plot, either big or small, 15% of that plot must be reserved for green. Is there in our regulation, and we are making sure that we enforce that. In terms of site clearance, in respect of green also, Greater Portharcourt has made it compulsory that a tree above 4 years shall not be cut down without permit. We have also ensured that. So, even in architecture, we have also tried to make sure that the green concept in design must be implemented. We are not encouraging the old order where concrete culture and the rest takes dominance of the entire process. So we are emphasizing that there must be respect for green. Even down to the building, the internal element. We are not an architect. We have architects in authority in terms of windows and door orientation, the door height, positioning in terms of air, wind, that of light, and some other things. We have also made sure that that is implemented before development approval is given. In other sensitive area concerning to green environment, in some land development, you have known that River State, as the name implies, our blessing is water, and times the water also causes some level of suffering to us because of mismanagement. In our regulation, we have it that excess fuel in some categories of development is compulsory. The essence of that is to remove some level of runoff before it will be gradually released to the environment. And you can say vis-a-vis, they all work together. The essence of recording green is also to protect the environment. The essence of restoring excess water is also a remedy towards that. So we in Greater Portharcourt, though what you're seeing around you along the roadside is not what the authority is. We are doing our best. We know the people we are fighting with. Change is not something that you can just do like that. It's a gradual process to approach it. In terms of the urban area where we have a lot of the green resources, we are also making efforts. I believe in 2013, Dr. Rico is here. He was once our staff before he sojourned to where the green grasses are. Anyway, we can complete that. We also recognize the way the natives are going, even the private developers. We agree that we must have a land use management plan. And what that land use management plan entails is that not all green area will be developable. So there are more than some element of approval. So at the time when that consideration was given, that from the native settlement, a setback of 1.5 kilometers should be given, because they have that right, even from the international law, the extent law we have is, they have that right to expand. So when we need that, we encourage community subdivision to enable community to develop harmoniously, and also private developers to come in and organize the place. So we need about 3 level subdivision free of charge to the communities. The reason I doing that is for the community to look at what we have done, put it down so that it will be a model through which others will follow. We did that to Solite, we did that of Portharcourt, we did that of one that he groups, I remember the name, about 3 of them we did. I believe that that's, encourage what is common in Greater River State today. You see real estate developer. That's why they are not doing it the right way. So we are also collaborating with them, making sure that they must do it the right way by giving approvals to some of them. Many of them don't have approval, we don't know them. And I believe that one day the government hammer. We can't do government that, and they can't behave in a plan city. Master plan is a guided government. It's a government that guides development, presented in graphic and contextual. That is what my the elementary definition of my lecturer is. One is looking at me, they are the way proposed definition. So this is the area we in Greater Portharcourt. We are coming. We have also collaborated with investors in different areas and pushing this green initiative. We have collaboration with Shell Cooperative They have about close to 60 hectares of land. They have started developing. We have collaboration with federal Ministry of Works. They have about 10 hectares of land. In fact, it is about 80% completion. Also incorporating this green initiative, we have the airport city. Last week we were at other presidential. Everybody is also talking about green. It's about 80 hectares. Still using development in greater Portharcourt area. We have the almighty CBN cooperative within the greater Portharcourt area. Still on the concept of the green initiative. We are also a partnership with Port City at 11. Before the problem started in River State, we have inaugurated it. The Port City is about 500 hectares. It's going to be agro-centered. It's a kind of replication of RSSDA, because the person who conceptualized it is going to implement that is what we call agropolitan, but you cannot see that, you cannot sustain that because it doesn't cover a large expanse of land. But in miniature, we are putting that in place where people will live. There will be processing industry, processing the agricultural product, mandating that at least about 10% of every side, every plot must have. That is the concept of that theory. We have done that, and we are also discussing with other investors as well as greater Portharcourt is concerned. Green is our genesis. That is where we started. So we continue to push further. Yes, we have opportunity. The opportunities are balanced. And we are also, that is why we are here today. And I believe that after this, we are going to interact. We know there is carbon fund. I don't know the actual, the expert group, where as much as you reduce the carbon footprint, there is access to capital. I know my former administrator, we have interacted on that, on how to key in based on our green initiative so that we can have some funds and develop the city. We know it's a huge opportunity. River State in general, through the present governor, with the little interaction we had with him, is also interested in the green initiative. Portharcourt is to be a garden city. But it's very funny today, it's no longer a garden city. According to pastors, that's calling that some devil witches reside on trees. I don't think there's anyone in the Bible. Constantly down, which staying there is our problem today. And the thing is impacting seriously on us. We are making sure that need to be stopped. As far as greater Portharcourt is concerned, that is one of the opportunities. The challenges is what I told you. Change is very difficult to come by. And we are pushing further through creating awareness, as we have done today, discussing with stakeholders on the essence of preserving the green environment. In our culture, it's like that. I am an equal man. I realize that whenever a child is born, the umbilical cord, well, once the thing falls out, they will look for a particular tree. Our own will use plantain, you can use raffia, they will bury it there. What that signifies that it's respect for green, for productivity. So I am surprised why we missed that opportunity. In fact, it is transferred, in fact, they have stated cascaded it to the level that if you don't plant a tree, it might place social farms, lot of farms. At a certain age grade before the initiation, you must make sure you plant one tree. But those things we are not seeing it. When we used to go to farm, there are some trees you don't need to purge. They preserve them. You go there, we call it okuku, okushishi. That is so I'm a local man. When I'm talking, I can't go. So that most of us, we have foreigners here. And when they go back, they know that we have culture. This thing is not new in our land. The problem is that something happened. We started imitating what we are not. And I believe that with this gathering today, as we are going home, we will go back and do what we know and we will be doing best. Sorry, I didn't come with elaborate paper, quoting this and quoting that, but from my street experience, I've been able to explain the little which from Greater Portharcourt we have done through this initiative. Finally, we are committed to this. As I'm going back, I'm going to pass this message to our administrator. We are showing this house that we have everything it takes in our regulation. We will implement them, but it will take a little time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It's great to know that Portharcourt is doing so much in terms of sustainable building and land preservation. Good morning, everyone. I am Sangeeta Ramaraj. I'm the technical lead at the Green Building Council Nigeria. I would like to take you through a small presentation about the action plan and what it is, so that we understand the context and we can also deliberate after this. So the action plan, the project is basically about, the intention of the project is the country should have Paris Agreement. It's aligned to our building sector activities. So basically, according to Paris Agreement, all the countries have their NDCs, the National Determined Contribution. But how much does the building sector is included and contributed in those NDCs? That is one of the major reasons and the intention of the project. It is to create a comprehensive scorecard and map the existing country's policy, and then strengthen our building policies aligned with our Nigerian NDCs. That is the main intention of the project. Of course, the project is being supported by the World Green Building Council and is being funded by the Children's Investment Fund Foundation. So, and this has been piloted in 5 countries, that is Brazil, Colombia, Nigeria, Egypt, and Philippines. But currently, there are, as the President mentioned, there are 16 countries, but it was piloted in the 5 countries, and in Nigeria, the Green Building Council Nigeria is the one leading the project here. And when it comes to the NDCs and the building, so we do have our national determined contribution, that is the first generation and the second generation. But how far it takes building sector into account is one of the key questions. Building sector, as you all know, contributes to 40% of the final energy use. So it's one of the very priority and a strategic sector where we can decarbonize our national, so that we can actually lead to our promise or the commitments that we did in the NDC. So the next one is the NDCs, the first and the second generation NDCs that the Nigeria submitted to have building sectors included, but it is fragmented and it is not being considered as one of the sectors. So the major contributing factors to building sectors like energy use, waste management, or biodiversity, they are being mentioned but not under building sector, but other sectors that can be helpful But whereas building sector has been overlooked or it has been mentioned here and there as fragments, which is very confusing for to have a roadmap or to align ourselves to in contributing to the NDCs. So we also see that we have an overlook of the potential system, and we also see building sector is not like a complete sector. It can cross cut to various other sectors because buildings are the basic things that human beings live and thrive on. So we are looking at the core benefits beyond building. So when you make a greener building, you are making much more benefits that are underlined on it, like you have energy security, job creation as well as securing the job as well as of course health and equity. So integrating buildings into industry is not only a matter of decarbonizing the sector or like seeing them as an emitter of carbon, but it is a strategic investment in resilience, equity, and the national development priorities. It will enhance you in each of the other priority which the national has its own. So the project, I'll just go through the how we actually did the project with the project timeline, so you understand how this action plan has been created. So we started the project and we initiated it in last year, August 2024. So we actually did an initial stakeholder outreach and the project launched. And when it comes to stakeholder outreach, we actually got all the sectors like finance, government, academia, everything. But especially we made sure we had local representatives of all the states as well. So we tried as much as we did that for the stakeholder workshop that happened in Abuja. The next workshop that we did in October was about the first workshop where we did a national policy mapping. So since we had a lot of stakeholders in-house, we did the existing national policies, like we fragmented them, we analyzed them, we understood what are the existing, what can be done, what are the gaps, all that we identified as a group workshop with key stakeholders. And in November 2024, we took sub-national outreach. That's where we had a sub-national outreach on understanding regional level policies or state level policies, where we had LRAs, the local research assistant, go and interview the relevant department in the state to understand their existing policies, what are their implementation with, in terms of sustainable buildings or biodiversity or resilience. So we did around 14 states and we got the interview and consolidated worksheets from that. And then in November 2024 again, we had our second workshop which reviewed all the findings that we did and we refined and we actually co-created in that workshop on drafted of local policies and their scorecards. And from December 2024 and March this year, we did a beta scorecard, that is the development of the global consolidated scorecard. And then we actually transferred that to the World Green Building Council, which was being compared and cross-checked with other countries' scorecard. So we understand that our scorecard is deeply rooted in Nigeria and it captures the regional interface and the local policies and their gaps. And we also cross-checked with the other international countries who did the same project. And we actually refined that and we got the beta scorecard back in March. And April, we did we tested and validated this scorecard in Abuja in workshop number 3 in April. And then May we did workshop 4 where we had the action plan. So basically, once the scorecard has been ready, we understood what are the priorities, where the gaps are, all that. But we also wanted to make sure we have an action plan, that is a way or a path that implement these priority actions. So we had an action plan in May 2025. And from May till now, we are doing regional rollout that has been happening in Lagos, Abuja, now in Portharcourt. So what are the key findings that we actually did find through all these workshops? The first one is the policy coverage. So we do have policies, but how far all these policies cover the sustainable aspect or the resilience aspect of building. That was our key intention. So we feel that as we